Recently, I saw a post on LinkedIn suggesting that we should take the entire product team, development, PM, everybody, and have them report directly through UX research. And while normally I would think prima facie this is way too naive to take seriously and keep scrolling, this time I thought there are a lot of interesting lessons in there for product people. So I thought I would address it. And the first thing I want to do is dispel this myth that to build a great product business, all we need to do is understand our users. Demonstrably untrue. History is littered with companies that understood their users, failed to build the right business, and are no longer around. Normally, understanding users is very important, but how important is contextual? I spent my career in the complex kind of B2B space, and the truth is very often users are an afterthought. That's unfortunate, but it's true. And it's because there are a lot of other stakeholders you have to please before you get to the end user, the economic buyer, the influencers. So the importance of users depends on the context, but I think that's a nuanced point relative to the idea that, understanding users is just one part of the equation. We have to understand our markets and understand users, what they want, what will make them happy. We also have to understand what we are trying to achieve and balance these things. And that's one of the reasons PM exists. We're constantly doing that balancing, figuring out what the market wants that fits into our strategy, our core competencies that will generate the outcomes that we want. So understanding one side of the equation isn't enough. And let me give you a quick analogy. Imagine that I own a restaurant and it's just not doing well. There could be a million reasons. Food isn't great. I'm overstaffed, so I don't have the margin I need. I'm paying too much for food. I'm in the wrong location. I don't accept the right payment types. I don't have the right hours. Let's say in that situation, I just assume, well, this must be because I don't understand my customers. Who understands my customers the best? My wait staff. They're a critical part of our success. They're interacting with these people all the time. I know what we can do. Let's let the wait staff run the restaurant business. How well do you think that would go? I would assume horribly. Most wait staff are not trained to run a restaurant business. And here's something interesting. If you took this crazy path and decided to upskill them, they would no longer be wait staff. They would be general managers. They would be running a business, not necessarily waiting on people. So moving, yourself to the top of the chain and having people formally report to you, you don't get to just keep doing what you've always done. Now you've got to take responsibility, accountability for the business, and you will no longer be a UX researcher. That will be kind of your side hustle. So the basic configuration in broad strokes that we have today works beautifully in some places. Let's fix that instead of coming up with like radical ideas about shifting accountabilities around. I know there's a lot of frustration in product development circles. I get it. Earlier this year, I did a couple of workshops with PM UX pairs where we looked at their engagement model. Things were a lot worse than I expected. So what I would say is there's a lot of work to be done. Let's focus on understanding each other better. I'm going to use a term that is important in both communities, and that is empathy. We think about empathy for our end users, empathy for our customers. UX and PM have to have empathy for each other. It is not easy being a UX professional and a researcher. They are understaffed. They're not given the resources they need always to do their job well. They're brought in way too late. Way too often we decide what we build and it's like, okay, let's bring UX in to validate this and to make it look good. Wrong approach. Being a PM is really tough. Tons of different expectations, a lot to balance, a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, and very little professional development. Most people are just shoved into that role with really no real preparation. And it is a hard job. It's about being a referent leader. Nobody reports to you, by the way. It's not formal. So you have to influence people. Two very tough jobs that have an opportunity to work together beautifully. And that's what we should focus on. So what I would suggest to PM or UX people watching this is go to your counterpart, talk to leadership, clarify your roles, and figure out in your case how you can work best together to contribute to a successful product business. I hope this was helpful.